you see, this is First Street we're coming up on. The street that we're looking for is the next street, 2nd Street. We'll take a right. And his building was sitting right there. It was called 104 East 2nd Street. And Quinn Ivy had a little record store on the left down here in this building. See the last little building before the alley? He had a little, it's called Quinby Music.
And Quinn Ivy, he was a disc jockey there in Muscle Shoals area at that time. And he was invited to this Christmas party, and he heard me wail out on it, and he thought the melody was fantastic, you know, the feeling. He said, well, if you was to write some strong lyrics around that feeling, I think you'd probably get your hit record. I'm fixing to open up a studio.
So, we're actually here now. The studio was right here. And it was a building about as far as the fence went, and it was a narrow building.
We call it the hot dog. It was like narrow and long from here to way over there, man. But it was narrow, you know, like from there to there, you know.
And it used to be a bar. It was called the Bluebird Cafe, and people used to get killed in there, stabbed and shit. Back in the 50s, 40s and 50s. It was pretty rough place.
When I went in, I was green. I didn't know anything about Stack Records and Nashville and different labels. So I just started from right there in the cotton fields of Leeton, Alabama, in a little studio called Quinby. And my heart and my mind and God, I still say God played the biggest part of all it. I never thought that it would come out like it did.
When a man loves a woman, can't keep his mind on nothing else. He changed the world for the good thing he's found. If she is bad, he can see it. She can do no wrong. Turning back on his best friend if he put her down.
Percy's recording was the first #1 hit to hit the charts from Muscle Shoals. So it was really a breakthrough record in so many ways. What it really speaks to is the transcendence or transcendency of music among musicians. You certainly rise above racial barriers in order to cut a song that good. And it's clearly the influence in the sound is a black influence. I mean, it's rhythm and blues, no matter how you approach it.
I remember when desegregation started, you had trouble. They'd bring the militias out, and the police and the army, and everybody would come out in most of the major problem areas. But here in North Alabama, where we're at, it was an area that didn't have the same segregated feelings that was all over the state. When I grew up here, it was separate water fountains, and I couldn't understand that growing up. And I would ask my parents and stuff, why we have two? Because we would play with the black kids at the baseball parks, and we had a great time playing with the black kids. But you know, you had a lot of rural, not rich, poor people, black and white. Yeah, and we were like kind of all together, you know. In this thing together.
We knew it was going on, but it didn't bother us, you know. I kept going where I had to go and go play at the University at Ole Miss and other places. And never no problem.
Something told me it was over. When I saw you and her talking.
And, you know, it's amazing. All those artists that came down, once we started working and playing the music, they never felt any intimidation in any way. like you would maybe think they would. They were totally immersed into making a great blues record.
Ooh, I would rather go blind, boy, than to see you walk away from me, child.
See, we was like a family, you know. They just took me under their wings, and they gave me so much power, the strength, and to believe in myself.
Our music did more for desegregation and everything, good race relations, than all the ambassadors the United States had in the whole world. Said we did more with the music.
Do you like good music? That's sweet soul music. Just long as it's swinging. Oh yeah, we out here on the floor now. I go into a go-go. I be dancing to the music. Oh yeah, spotlight on all this rhythm.
We were always thought of as black players, but that was a great compliment for us.
It had such an injection of rhythm and blues and soul that were blues-based, in essence. It really was some of the first, what I would call Americana music, even though it stunned popular music. And we clearly had a sound all our own that you could listen to and identify it right away without anybody prompting you that that's a record cut in Muscle Shoals.
We had the most beautiful bass sound in any studio in the world.
There's a room sound back in those days. It's called leakage. You're getting into other microphones, you know, like snare drums and stuff. And there was a certain sound there, that mono room sound called leakage.
We've had people like the Beatles have even been there. Just name them. Michael Jackson did part of the Thriller there, all of it. Because we sat so far below the sea level. And we got that sound like as Motown got up there in Detroit. There's nothing like it.
A lot of people used to say it was the water here. That the music and the sound was in the water. The Tennessee River that came down, it came south, and right at the bottom of the loop, it turned and went north, which rivers aren't supposed to do that, right? At the time, I don't really think we knew that we were really cutting hits. We just loved to play and loved to, you know, play on records and hear them back and all this kind of thing. And then when we first started having hits, I mean, we would travel maybe to a major town, New York, wherever, and all of a sudden our record would come on the air and it would just completely blow us away, you know. Listen, you know. You know, the country boys gone to the big town.
A lot of our musicians were geographically isolated and didn't have external influences that affected the way that they played. So that inherently gives you the ability to develop your own sound. And those unique sounds is what melded together to build the Muscle Shoals sound.
It seemed impossible to get ahead from a little town. And then when it started actually happening, I tell you one thing, it kept us, it kept our feet on the ground. You know, that and mortgages.